And this player would say, okay, I'm just going to take this tile, place it right here. Oops, now I messed everything up. Hey everyone, this is Thecos. Today I'm looking forward to showing you Timber Town, a really neat two-player tile drafting and placement game with a really cute theme. This is a pure two-player game. There is no solo mode at the moment. I will say something about that a little bit later. So this is why I will not do a playthrough today, but I will do a quick how to play section, and then I will give you my review of the game. A small disclaimer, this will not be a rules teach, but just an overview over how the game generally plays. Just so that you know, this game is designed by Ryan Boucher. I hope that's pronounced correctly. It looks like a French name. And illustrated by Isabelle Overturf. So yeah, before we get started, as usual, grab yourself a cup of tea and let's do this. Oh man, this is the absolute correct, perfect drinking temperature. It's like kind of a shame that you always like see my cup from the top, because I have like this really cool Stouter Valley cup here, but well, that's I guess something for another time. All right, so let's just remove this here. As you see, I have already set up the game. So regarding setup, just so that you see what I've done here. There are these two boards. Each player gets one of them with like a different symbol here in the corner. Then in the middle we put the river boards. These are like four of these little strips here, so to speak. Then you shuffle all cardboard tiles, all the buildings, and put them like in 3 stacks up here. I don't know if you have to put them in 3 stacks, but I usually do, because then you can just easily place them down here. All the tokens you put up here, we have like the beavers, the cranes, the dams, the rafts, and also like the beaver that you get when you finish like filling your board first. And last but not least, we have like these scoring cards here. These are very similar to Tiny Towns, in case you know Tiny Towns. And in the box of the game of Timber Town, there are also like more of these scoring cards here in like different colors, right? So the blue workshop, there are like 3 more of them. For the parks, you have 3 more. For the markets as well, temples, and also the homes, right? So only the brown and the red cards here. So the town squares and the yards, there's only 1 of each. I've put down the starting cards here. They have like this little symbol here in the top left. But you can like mix and match how you want to, so the replay value is quite high actually, with like different scoring conditions, which is pretty cool. All right, so how is this game played? Well, at the beginning of a round, you always turn over the like 3 tiles here at the top of the river board. So usually you would probably like rotate this 90 degrees, and then one player would be sitting here where I am, and one player would be sitting up there. But for recording this video, this is like perfect, right? I mean, the player's like sitting left and right. It's important that the river board is like oriented like this between the players, that the symbols are like on the player's side. So when you have filled the riverboard on the very left, if you rotate it, or right for the other player, or top in my view, right? So when you have filled the riverboard like closest to like where the tiles are, like the river flows like to the other side here, then one of the players starts. And the starting player is always the player whose symbol is depicted on the board we just filled. So for example, this would be the left player here, right? What the left player is doing is like one of the main actions. There are 3 main actions a player can do, and he has to choose one of them when it's their turn. Either they can claim a tile. Claiming a tile means they can just take any tile here on the board. At the moment, there are only tiles here on the left, and then place that tile in the column of the riverboard. So for example, if this tile would be here, they would have to place it in that column here, but it doesn't matter where they place it. There are placement rules. So first of all, of course, you always have to like place it on like on your grid. You can't place a tile above another tile, things like that, right? But also tiles need to connect. You see like these little pathways here, right? So I would not be able to place this here at some point, right? Because this pathway doesn't connect. I would have to rotate it like this. So all pathways have to connect, and this also counts for like tiles here. So if I have a tile here that connects to that tile and also to that tile, that wouldn't work because there's no pathway here, right? There are exceptions, right? You can build a construction token that you have. Any of these tokens that you have, you can place them between 2 tiles to create like a pathway between them, right? When you place the tile. But otherwise, you are not able to place the tiles there if they do not connect. The other main action somebody can do is use a raft. Using a raft means if you ever receive a raft, I will show you in a minute how that works, then you can just take a raft and place it on a tile. That now means, oh wait, by the way, this would be the blue player here. So we would take a blue raft like this. That means this tile is now reserved for this player. The other player cannot draft this tile and can also not put another raft token on here, right? So you can just reserve that tile. That makes sense. If you say like, I really need that tile, but I don't want it in this column, I want it in that one. And I don't want to risk the other player taking it. You can spend a main action to take this. And the last main action you can take is just passing, right? So for example, this player would say, I'm just going to take this tile, place it here, right? Then it will be the other player's turn. The other player would do the same. I will take this one and place it right there, for example. All right. Then they can also do free actions during your turn. So you can like claim the tile that you put a raft on, right? So for example, let's say this player here has put a raft here. Then as a free action, they can also take this tile. That means you do lose one main action when you place a raft, but you like get it back, so to speak, because you can like later on do it as a free action. And you can like take any number of free actions during your turn. The other thing is you can use a crane token here. The crane token, you can discard it alongside claiming a tile in order to place it in any column of your town board, right? So like for example, like say this player would have a crane token here and they would take this tile. They don't have to place it in that column. They can just discard this crane token to place the tile anywhere here on the board. Then also you can use a dam token. A dam token allows you to claim one additional tile from the river this turn, right? If you discard that. And you can also scuttle a construction token. That's what I said before, right? If you want to like, let's say you have it like this and you want to place this tile like this here, but you can't because there is no connection. You can just take any construction token you have and place it here like in between them. That means you lose like the original purpose of that token, but you do have like a pathway between them. Otherwise, you are not able to place that tile. This is like how a turn looks like. Then at the end of the turn, when everybody has done the one main action and all of the free actions they want to do, you take the tile that is furthest away from the stacks of buildings, put it here on the left, kind of similar to like what Orléans or Solenia are doing, and then you just refill these tiles again. If at any point in time a tile here is discarded and put at the back again with like tiles on them, the tiles are lost. And you just continue doing that, right? Everybody takes a tile. Now the other player would start, right? So they would maybe take this tile, place it here like this. And this player would say, okay, I'm just going to take this tile, place it right here. Oops, now I messed everything up. And then again, after they have taken their free actions, you put this here, you refill the board, and you continue the game like this. One more rule I haven't explained yet is you can see on some tiles, like this one here, for example, and this one, there are like tokens at the top right. These, as soon as you claim these tiles and place them on your board, in your grid, you get this token. So this would be like a dam token that we spoke about, right? This would be a raft token, and also you can get a crane token, right? And also there are tokens like the town squares. I don't see any here at the moment, but they have like this little beaver in the bottom right. You get a beaver and put it on that tile, right? That's like for scoring, because if you can then take the beaver and let it move from left to right through your town, like onto the board from the edge and off the board again. If you can do that, then you get additional points. So that's like another little mechanism here. You play this game until no player can claim another tile, and the player who has finished like their grid first with all 16 tiles gets like this construction beaver here, as like, and that just grants like 5 points at the end of the game. And this is pretty much like how you play Timber Town. And then when the game is over, you take a look at all of the tiles you have placed in your town. Of course, you would have like a full town, and then you go through each scoring card down here and see like how they score. For example, the workshops, the Cooper here, like each blue tile, which is like the workshops here, like this one, for example, scores 2 points for each unique non-blue tile in the same column. So if we had it like this here, like this, for example, there are 2 unique non-blue tiles here. That means this would score 4 points, that blue tile, right? This is like how that would work. Of course, I couldn't build it like this. I would have to do it like this. And then you go through all of these scoring cards. You note down your score in the scoring pad provided with the game, and then the player with the most points wins. Very simple, actually. So that was my short explanation of how Timber Town works. But what do I think of the game? Well, let me tell you in like my little review here. First of all, I absolutely love the theme. I'm a big fan of nature and animal themed games in general, and next to otters, raccoons, and turtles, beavers are definitely up there for me. So the idea of beavers constructing dams just feels like a perfect fit. And I honestly don't know why this hasn't been done more often before. For me, the theme works incredibly well. The components are really nice. I really like the wooden meeples here for the beavers, the rafts, and the dams and everything. They all feel like really great. The tiles are really thick and look good on the table, and the cards are perfectly fine what they need to do. Regarding gameplay, setup is quick. The rules are really easy to explain, and the game doesn't take up a lot of table space. All big pluses in my book. This is a very elegant design. The rules are simple, but the game still offers a good amount of thinkiness. You know how I love elegance in board games. I also like how some of the rules are streamlined directly into the board design. On the riverboard, for example, you can always see who the first player is in a given round just by looking at the columns here. That means you don't have to pass around a first player token. It's all handled organically on the board itself. I think that's a really elegant decision. Another great design choice is how the tiles are marked. Not only are they color-coded for the different scoring cards, but each tile also has a small symbol here that matches the symbol on the corresponding scoring chart. This is helpful for people who have difficulty distinguishing colors, but is also just useful in general, especially since some of the building colors are fairly similar or like kind of hard to distinguish. Having those symbols makes scoring and planning much clearer. I especially like the scoring cards you get at the beginning of the game here for the different building types. That reminded me a bit of tiny towns. At the same time, having several scoring conditions in play can lead to some analysis paralysis, because you're constantly checking the available tiles against multiple scoring cards. This becomes even more pronounced as more tiles flow down the river and more options become available. That's largely due to the drafting mechanism. You can only draft tiles from the same column of the river unless you spend a token to break that rule. I really like this restriction because it limits you in interesting ways and forces you to think tactically. But sometimes you just want a tile, but not in its current position, so you wait for it to drift down the river, hoping your opponent doesn't grab it first. You can reserve tiles with raft tokens, but that costs you a main action. All of this creates a lot of meaningful decisions, which I really enjoy. One thing to keep in mind is that scoring can take a little while. You'll need to go through your tiles and check them against each scoring card, so the end scoring isn't as quick as you would like it to be. That said, it's more of a small nitpick than a real issue. I also really appreciate that the box size of the game is fine. It's not much larger than it needs to be, which means it doesn't take up unnecessary shelf space, which is always a plus, especially in today's board gaming world where there are just way too many games to play. What I do find a bit of a shame is that there is no solo mode. I think a solo mode could have been implemented fairly easily, either by simulating an opponent taking tiles, or by adding a score-based achievement-style solo challenge. That's definitely a personal nitpick, but it's something that I usually look for in games. All in all, Timber Town is a very elegant two-player game with a great theme, nice components, and a clever drafting mechanism that creates interesting tactical decisions. It's easy to table, quick to play, and offers a satisfying level of depth. It might be a bit too thinky for complete beginners, and the lack of a solo mode is a shame, but those are just minor points in an otherwise solid and enjoyable design. I was really surprised by how solid and elegant this game is. Well, that concludes my explanation and review of Timber Town by Alleycat Games. Again, a huge thanks to them for providing me with this review copy. As usual, I would like to thank you all for your support. Especially I want to give a shout out to my generous patrons. The big thanks go to Thecos for supporting me at the highest tier. Thank you so much for that. I truly appreciate that. You can also support me by watching, liking, and commenting on my videos, subscribing to my channel, support me on Patreon, and join my Discord server to hang out with me and my amazing community. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the very next video or my Discord server. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and cheers.